Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson and this is Jectives Typography News. Today is Friday. Today is Friday, April 24th, 2026. Per usual, I have a ton of typography news for you. It's been a week. The last time we did typography news was last Friday. I did a video on Tuesday that I'm going to talk about in just a second, but similar to when we used to do these by the weekly episodes, I have so much stuff crammed into one episode. We are absolutely going to be pressed for time, so I'm going to be moving very fast. I probably need to move a little bit slower so that my mouth can catch up with my brain, but I'm going to be moving very quickly through these. Some of them will get deep dives in the futures, some won't, but everything is linked in the description, so go ahead and check that out. Everything linked in the description is for your convenience. It's not sponsored, never will be. It's just there for you. So let's get into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Let me get my screen ready, turn it over to the screen cap, and we will get into this. Maybe I should have given you the breakdown of what we're going to do today first. I have two. We'll do, let's put the face cam back on. I'm teasing you here. Okay. Two events. No, one video from this past week that I just talked about. One event coming up tomorrow. You don't want to miss the one for tomorrow. It's going to be pretty cool. Two betas, early access releases that I'm going to show you today. Those are really cool. 12 brand new releases, and then 2 deep dives. We're going to be seeing stuff from Darden Studio, TypeTogether, FontFabric, Emtype, Contrast Foundry, Grilli Type, Benjamin Tuttle, Superior Type, Typographies, Tokotype, Novatype, FaceType, StormType Foundry, Supertype, Gruppo Due, and Marmite, Defontes. I learned how to say it. And finally, July Type. It's a huge episode. I need to slow down a little bit, but we got to go fast. Okay, now let's really switch the screen, and I'm going to show you the video that I was talking about that I did on Tuesday. This is my YouTube channel. This video right here, it says the thing everyone is missing about Affinity's 3.2 update. I like this thumbnail. Let me know if you guys like it. It's using one of the color fonts, and that's what this video is all about. It doesn't really matter if my face is in the way. You're going to see double of me on here, but this video here is going into all the details about color fonts. Color fonts work in Affinity 3.2 now. I mentioned this in the last typography news, but I did like a full hour and 15-minute breakdown of everything. You can get almost all of the necessary stuff in the first 10 minutes. I break down what's going on, and then basically I spend the rest of the time deep diving into like which fonts work, why they work, stuff like that. So it's the TLDR is that color fonts do work in Affinity, and not only do they work because they've always kind of worked, you can customize the colors. So on this one here, Nabla by TypeTogether, you can go in and you can change the colors even on that gradient. It's really, really cool. Go check that out. If you don't watch all of it, just watch the first 10 or 12 minutes and you will get basically everything you need to know. The second thing today is that BLAG Meet is tomorrow. I mentioned this before. I did a full flip through review. This is also on the channel, not linked in the description, but you can go look it up if you want. BLAG is a sign painting magazine, the only one still in print. And this issue right here, issue number 8, was the one that I did my flip through review of. They are doing a full day live event tomorrow, and my flip through review is actually going to be featured on there. So like 20 minutes of this day tomorrow will be that video. So if you do go and watch, be sure to say nice things about me. And then there are a lot of speakers on here though. You can see them lined up right here. The times are in Central European time, but if you click on the time right here, it gives you every time zone. And then you can know, like for me, I'm in Brazil right now. It's going to start at 10 a.m. for me. So that's really convenient. I love that. But you can see what the events are, who's going to be speaking. Let's see, inside BLAG 08, that's me. So I'm at 1600 in Brazil, in Central European time, London. But you can see all of the different speakers, all of the different things that are going on. It's really cool concept. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't like definitively say this is a really cool thing, but it's a really cool concept. they put out the issue, and this kind of supports that. And the people that are featured in the issue dive a little deeper and talk about more things than can fit in one article. So I think it's gonna be cool. It's free to attend. You can tip. But it's free to attend. It's gonna be a Zoom call, so everything will be on Zoom. I don't think this is gonna be like anything that's recorded that you can go and watch again. Because I'm not sure how they would do that for a lot of the pre-recorded videos and things like that that already exist on YouTube. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be really cool, and I'm definitely going to hop in and out of it. Tomorrow's family day for me, so I'll be hopping in while my daughter's taking naps. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be cool. It'll be fun to interact with people and hear more about it. Let's get into some new releases. The first two are not entirely new releases. They are upcoming releases. So let me see what I can show you. I think we're going to switch to Affinity first. This first one here is Daith, and it's going to be coming from Darden Studio. This is actually, if we zoom in right here, you'll see all three designers that are involved with this project. I'm going to take my face off the screen so I don't block anything. I'll see you guys at the end. This is from Joshua Darden. If you don't know, Joshua Darden made the Freight super family. And was the founder of Darden Studio, sold that a few years ago to Joyce Ketterer, and hasn't released a typeface since 2017. I'm moving my arms like you guys can see it, but you can't. Hasn't released a typeface since 2017, 9 years ago. This is one from the archive. I'm assuming that these two designers right here are helping finish this typeface up, but this is it. It has, I can give you a few details, I guess. 72 styles. It's going to be variable. 946 glyphs, 22 open type features, 335 languages. I don't have all of these other details yet because I do have an advanced release right now, and I don't know, I could probably look at like a general license, but I don't know the pricing. I don't know any of the release dates or anything like that. But this is it. I am planning to do a deep dive on this one. I'm going to have to make sure that I can. But let me show you some features real quick, just in case we don't come back to this for a little while. I have this set. Let's go ahead and set both of these at the same weight. So this goes all the way down to thin and all the way up to black. This is a variable font. And it also has an optical size on it. So optical size, you can see contrast gets higher. All the things you expect. Extenders grow at text size like this. They kind of get a little bit chunkier. You can see that serif there, that terminal, and it gets really thin and really nice contrast for the bigger sizes. So another topic for another day, but it does have italics, and I definitely need to show you those because they're true italics, and it looks beautiful. These look like beautiful brush strokes. Like even look at that T. See how that expands up at the top? And then gets like a needle point at that terminal there. This is going to be a fun one. It's interesting that the bracketed serifs like don't fully connect there. So you've almost got like the flat serif and then the bracket there. Let's see. I think that's probably the text size. So I've got the smaller one at the text size. Let's get both of these at the same size. Same thing here. We've got the weight axis, and we've got go all the way to black. We've got the weight axis, and then we've got the optical axis. Let me set this to regular real quick. Can we just do it here? Yeah, let's do like a 400. Right now, this is the display size. But if we take this down, you'll see, oh, look at that. Even the terminal on the A kind of grows there. There's a lot going on. I imagine this would be difficult to interpolate. I could be wrong. I'm not a type designer. I'm a type enthusiast. But that looks really nice. Yeah, so I'm going to have to test this out. There's a lot going on with it, but it looks really beautiful. And this is definitely the surprise release of the year so far. That I would not have had a new release from Joshua Darden on my bingo card in any world. Look at these strokes, though, in the lowercase. This is the last thing I'm going to point out. But like, look at this H. You can see the stroke going through the bottom of that terminal there, almost like it shoots back up. I saw that in the R as well here. That's really cool. Okay, we're gonna have to move on, but Daith is an advanced release, as you can see up here in the top right, an advanced release from Darden Studio. I don't know when this is coming out. I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but if I'm allowed to, I'll definitely be doing a deep dive on this next week. So tune back in. Looks like there's not an ampersand here. So I didn't notice that. Let's see if that's on all weights or just this one here. Yeah, it looks like the ampersand might be broken. But that's to be expected. It's basically a beta at this point. Man, look at that contrast. Okay, got to move on. Our second upcoming release, and I do have a website link for this one because I'm going to show you the sneak peek. We've talked about this one before. I do have it in Affinity though. I'm going to pull it up there as well. Let's see if this loads. I'll get a drink of water. So this next one here, upcoming release, is from TypeTogether. I have access to the beta version of this through TypeTogether Premiere, which is basically there. you can apply and you can get early access to the typefaces. Not sure what the requirements are to get accepted, but I was. And so this is Dargon. It's from, as you can see right here, I don't know if I'm going to say Anne's name right, but Anne Delphine Bourrion. And it says nickname Ando. I know her as Daytona Mess, DaytonaMess.otf on Instagram. But Dargon text you can see right here. There's Dargon and there's Dargon text. Maybe this would be easier to show in Affinity because I feel like this sneak peek here is cool, but it doesn't give you a full perspective on what's going on. So you can see right here, there are 6 display styles. And then up here, we saw there were 10 text styles, but let's just go ahead and pull this up in Affinity. This was inspired or created specifically for like gaming and fantasy, and that shines through more than any typeface I've ever seen. This might be my favorite release of the year so far. I have not done my deep dive on it, but if it was only a display face like this would be really cool. There are 6 different ones. They're named Ignis, Oculus, Umbra, Lehman, Aegis, and Mutatio. I'm probably saying all of those wrong. I will try to learn for the deep dive, but this whole thing, if we go through these, you can see how much this is changing. This isn't just like a character here, a character there. There are 6 distinct display styles for Dargon. It's intentionally misspelling of dragon, by the way. But it would already be cool if that's all it was. Like if that's all it was, I would still be like, man, this is a cool display typeface inspired by, gaming, fantasy, board game, role-playing games, things like that. Like it's really cool. But this has it's super deep. First of all, let me just show you this right here. A total, I'm gonna have to check. I have a little asterisk there because I'm not sure how this count adds up. But according to the designer, 5,112 glyphs. This typeface is deep. So you've got all 6 of those styles, but then you've got 10 full like workhorse text styles that go with this. So it's not like you could only do the titles for a tabletop game or some fantasy role play or something like that. You've got a full workhorse serif typeface that looks beautiful on its own. Like if this is all that we got, same thing. Like if this is all we got, I would be sitting here drooling over this typeface. As you can see, small caps, real small caps. They match the stroke perfectly. This typeface is crazy. Like really, really, really crazy. I cannot wait to do the deep dive on this one. It will absolutely be happening next week. You can even see some of the dragon inspired roleplay, fantasy inspired symbols that are included with this one. You've got the 20-sided die. Yeah, I cannot say enough good. I cannot overstate how excited I am to really dig into this one and see what all Dargon has to offer. That is from TypeTogether and Delphine Bourriane. Hopefully I'm saying it right. I'll learn for next week. I literally just talked to the designer on Instagram a second before I hopped on live, and I didn't even bother to ask. Okay, next up, we have our full new releases that you guys can go get anytime today or later. And these are all linked in the description. As I said, none of them are sponsored, and none of the releases on Typography News ever will be. Let's see if this one loads up. It's looking a little slow. Might move on to the second one and then just come back to this one. Let's go ahead and give it one more second. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that was going to be from FontFabric. We'll come back to it if it ends up loading. let's go ahead and move on to, oh, they barely snuck in. They barely snuck in. FontFabric, you got lucky. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, they did, but it's nothing personal. So this first one here, we're going to see a few of these today. This is a Neo Grotesk, and this is FontFabric's take on it. There's not really a big pitch here. You know, it's more or less, here is FontFabric's take on a Neo Grotesk. It's called Fabric Grotesk, very fitting. You can see there, it's coming in, what is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Should have counted that before. 9 different weights and plus italics. So you've got a total of 18 styles. And this is variable. So I'm not sure if we can play around with the variable here or not. But like I said, we got to move fast. This is a Neo Grotesk from FontFabric. It looks pretty nice. It also looks like a lot of other Neo Grotesks. I think the big selling point here is I always ask myself, like, when I'm going to report something, so what? I think the so what here is the price tag. The price tag combined with the Foundry. I feel like this is a solid value proposition. You probably can't really see it here, but it's $145. There we go. $145 for the family. That's going to be all 18 styles plus the variable for $145 from FontFabric. That's, you know, and arguably a solid Foundry. They put out the typeface Nexa, if you don't know, Nexa Pro. I forgot how slow this was loading, but you can see right here, Nexa Pro, you probably recognize. Nexa Pro, Trixie, we've talked about a bunch of these on the channel, but yeah, Nexa Pro is probably the Nexa family is probably their most famous typeface, but now they've got a Neo Grotesk. It is Fabric Grotesk. So if you are looking for an affordable Neo Grotesk from a respectable type foundry, this might be one place to look. Is it the last place to look? No. You know, there are lots of places to go look, but it's a new release, so you know everybody else in the world isn't going to be using it already. Let's move on to number 2. We'll finally get to Emtype here. This release from Emtype is called Eternia, which sounds a little bit like hernia, but it's much more, looks much better than that. This is inspired by serif typography used in the 1970s and 1980s. And I've got 2 different links in the description. One is the news, and that's what this one here is. And then the other is the store. So the one that says fonts/Eternia, that's going to be this one. That's where you can purchase it. News/Eternia gives you this article right here. And I love when a typeface includes the inspiration right on the page. It shows me that they are, one, confident in their typeface, that somebody's not going to just say that they copied something else, but it also gives perspective and it pays homage to where the inspiration did come from. So let's go ahead and look at this on the webpage. You can see everything on here looks super, super crisp. Maybe the PDF would be worthwhile. Let's see if it loads quick. Yeah, there it is. Let's get this full screen right here. Eternia. This one's coming in, what do we got here? Looks like 14 different styles, 7 weights plus italics. But we've seen a few different typefaces recently that released that were inspired by, you know, typefaces from like the last 50 years or so. Specifically these types of typefaces. We saw one from Type of Feeling recently. We've been seeing a lot of these vintage serifs, and when I say vintage, I'm not thinking like full revivals. I'm more thinking of like this period right here, like the Apple, like those the old Mac advertisements that were in print magazines and stuff like that. It looks nice though. It looks really nice. The one thing I will say about this is that it does just feel very, very crisp. Like everything feels crisp, feels clean. I haven't done a deep dive on this, but it just feels very confident and very purposefully made. There's no, I don't know. There's just like, I don't know if this makes sense, but there's like no trace of anxiety in this. It really does feel like it came from another decade, and it feels very, it just feels very solid. Like I said, I'm judging all of this off of the specimens that are here, but it looks really, really nice. This is Eternia from Emtype. I'm gonna keep moving on because we got so much to get through. Next one here is coming from Contrast Foundry. I'm gonna get a drink of water, and I'm actually gonna pull up CoFo Robert as well. So this is CoFo Robert Sans from Contrast Foundry. That's where the CoFo is coming from, Contrast Foundry. And my gut reaction, I'll just go ahead and give you this. My gut reaction was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of Franklin Gothic. Like it just fills that same space that Franklin does, especially in these big caps right here. I did look at Franklin on fonts in use real quick, and obviously they're different, but they do kind of have that same silhouette if you squint, and they have a few different things that feel kind of the same. I feel like this could potentially be like I don't know if it necessarily an upgrade is the right word, but maybe like an evolution if you were taking your brand from Franklin Gothic to something newer that had maybe some more features and stuff like that, because this is, as you can see up here, this is a variable typeface. I think this is just the size. Yeah, so you've got a variable weight on it. But the interesting thing about this is that this is a counterpart to Contrast Foundry's Robert. So Robert was a serif typeface that released in 2018. It's now on version 2. And you can see the weights and stuff like that over here on the right. It looks nice. Workhorse, serif typeface, slabs. It looks very nice. And now it's got a sans serif counterpart. So I think there are a few different people that this would work out well for. One, obviously, like I just said, it has that, it fits in that same space almost as Franklin Gothic in my brain. But if you were already using CoFo Robert, now you have a perfect sans serif to match with. And I think that's great. Or if you weren't using either one, but you wanted a duo, it's always nice when a typeface has a counterpart. So that is CoFo Robert Sans from Contrast Foundry, the sans serif counterpart to CoFo Robert. Our fourth new release today, I'm skipping over the betas. Our fourth new release today is from Grilli Type. This is one that I gave a preview on a few months ago, to be honest, and I wasn't sure if I was allowed to show it. It was one of the betas, but I'm going to slow scroll through this for a second because Grilli Type always puts out incredible mini sites. They're just like these full interactive web page specimens highlighting the new release. And this is it. This is Grilli Type's GT Mechanik. It is, let's go a little bit faster. There it is right there. So it's got three. The big thing about this one is that it's got a monospace and it's got a sans serif and it's got a variable slider, a variable axis that can let you transition between those. I showed this in Affinity when I got access to the beta, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can show you like the whole font, but this part right here is crazy. Let's just go ahead and scroll through this a little bit faster. We'll get down to the bottom and play around with it, but I just want to give you a preview of how crazy this website is. If you're going to go click on anything in the description today, go click on this so you can play around and just see what some foundries are doing, see what Grilli Type is doing to promote the typeface. I'm going to get a drink of water real quick. Okay, I'm going to zoom down to the bottom so we can play around with this. I expect that at some point we will do a deep dive on this, but I don't want to leave you hanging. I want to show you this slider right here. So they've got three different tones, as they're calling it here. They've got mono, semi, and poly. I'm not sure why poly. It's just a sans serif. I'll have to figure out what poly is supposed to mean. It's got a weight slider. So it's got 7 different weights on here, going from thin all the way up to black. Let's get this at like a regular weight. And then it's also got a slant slider on it. So you've got 3 different axes on this. The most interesting one though is definitely the tone slider here, which takes it from monospaced right here to proportional right here. I don't know, like I really don't know, and I said this before, as cool as I think this slider is, I don't know what you're gonna do with your typeface in the middle like that. Especially like in some of these other middle spaces right here. I think it's gonna be really cool for animation if you want to do some kind of animation with this. It seems cool. I think more likely what you're gonna end up doing is if you're gonna pair this up and you're gonna click monospace, you're gonna click maybe semi, but probably you'll click poly and mono. Maybe the semi or the semi, I'm not sure if it's semi or semi. Maybe that one's supposed to be kind of like a narrow because it does get more narrow before you pop out those serifs right there. So you're kind of getting semi is kind of like the monotype spacing without or the monotype like proportions in terms of width without popping out the serifs yet. Not quite though, is it? The M gets a lot smaller. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on this and figure out exactly what's going on. But this slider right here is crazy, and leave it to Grilli Type to pull this off, because who would even think this was a good idea? I don't know. Maybe maybe it isn't, but it's still cool to be able to see what variable fonts can do. And like I said, this web page right here is crazy. I do have the regular store page linked as well, and you can see the typeface in all of its glory. But I think all three of these, the main instances for the tone, they do look good. It's not like Semi looks bad. It looks solid. If you just release Semi by itself, you know, it's somewhat vanilla, but it still looks fine. Like you wouldn't question the spacing or anything like that. So I do think they hit this one out of the park. I'll have to play around with it though, and I'll give you my full review. But GT Mechanik from Grilli Type. It's always a good day when there's a new Grilli Type release, because you get to look at one of these really cool mini sites. Next up is from Benjamin Tuttle. This is going to be a future font. Probably should have pulled up the Instagram, because like I always say, these load a little bit slower on future fonts because they're higher quality uploads. But this one here is from Benjamin Tuttle. It's called Racquet. And I've got an inspiration right here. Boom. Let's pull this up. Go and do this side by side real quick. So here's part of the inspiration, is this typeface right here called Schmale Runde Grotesk. It's German, and it means narrow, round, grotesque. That Norbeck written right there. And you can kind of see, let's go ahead and just click on this one. You can kind of see the inspiration there, but it's not just taken from that one typeface. It's you know, it's an amalgamation, as he's calling it, an amalgamation of a handful of historical European typefaces from the late 1800s. But that is, you know, the main DNA looks like it's coming from there. The interesting things about this, it's got backslant and slant. That's pretty cool. The shapes themselves look really cool, but the features, I think, are what make this one most interesting. So you've got that sort of inspiration from that German narrow, rounded grotesque. You've got the back slant, you've got the slant, but you've also got these swashes. And I'll be honest, I don't know that I was completely sold on the terminals on these. It looks really cool on the swashes, but when I only saw it on the uppercase, like Racquet right here, I was like, I don't know about the R, the A, the T. Let me show you what sold me on this. And it is that there are alternates. So let's see if we can find them. They're going through all the back slants. Ooh, that looks nice. We gotta go a little slower. Look at that, man. I'm gonna see about getting a review license on this one. I can't promise I'm gonna do a deep dive on it, but anytime there are swashes, I can't resist not doing a deep dive when there are swashes. So you can see some of the yellow letters there. Those are the letters that I know it's kind of small, but the yellow letters are the ones that don't have those terminals. They have alternates that you can get rid of. You can also see right here, A through Z has swashes. There might be a couple of letters sneaking in there that are not fully A through Z, but here are the terminal endings right here. So if you're like me and you're not 100% sure if you're on board with those little like soft serve terminals on the R, the T, the A, stuff like that, you can get an alternate version, and it looks very nice. It looks much more like the inspiration we saw a second ago, which I don't hate, but it is nice that there are both options available, because I think with those swashes, you probably definitely want the original terminals on it. Let's see if we can get back to the swashes like this, because they match so well with the swashed uppercase letters. That'd be great for display. Obviously this is entirely a display typeface, but I think it just depends on the situation. But it's nice to have the I don't even know if he would say this, but the non-soft serve terminals on there. I don't know really what you would call that, but the pointed terminals. I like the more sober ones, but I do appreciate a good swash, and so I can definitely appreciate combining those together if we can get back to some of them that would pair up well. Yeah, like these right here. It looks so good with the swashes. Okay, that is Benjamin Tuttle's new release on Future Fonts, and it is Racquet. Next up, we have a release from Superior Type. This one says that it was a Grotesk that started out as a custom job for a friend and turned into a full variable typeface with 18 styles. He is calling this, or I'm not sure if it's a he, she, they. Supertype is calling this a super family because it's got 3 different widths to it: Ritual, extra condensed, Ritual condensed, and Ritual. I am not sure if 3 different weights constitute a super family, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt and go ahead and call it a super family. Typically in my brain, a super family is like sans plus serif. You know, that was kind of my minimum, but this one's got 3 different widths on it. It looks really nice. The defining things on this one are going to be the chopped off terminals on this one. So you can see on the Y there, it's got those kind of sliced off. Let's see if we can find some more of them. I think they do a pretty good job of showing them, yeah, right here with RAM. See how those terminals get sliced off, and you could really track these, kern these really, really tight if you wanted. You know, this isn't the first time we've seen this done on a typeface, not the first one that I've even reported on here on the channel. This can go either way. You know, sometimes it looks nice, sometimes it not so nice. I think this one's on the former end. Like, I feel like this is one that's pulling it off, and it does look nice, because if I didn't, like, if I was looking at this body copy right here and I didn't already know that it had those chopped off terminals, I wouldn't notice. This looks really nice in body copy. It looks fine. And at the smaller sizes, or not the smaller, at the thinner sizes like this, you really can't tell. It's only when you look at that. That is a smooth interpolation. So it's got 2 axes on it at least. It might have a width one too, since it's got the 3 different widths. Yeah, we're doing all 3 widths right here. Look at that. We've got width, weight, or all 3 axes. We've got width, weight, and the slant on there. I am missing chat. Let me go ahead and check chat real quick. James Keene says, congratulations on the big 5-0. I appreciate it. I didn't know, you know, you never know if you're going to make it 50 episodes on something like this. I appreciate it, though. Amateur Type Drawer says, color font can be best used in website with CSS, not with a design app like Affinity. Fortunately, it now works in Affinity just fine. It's obviously best used on a browser. I will agree with that with CSS and stuff. But if you watch the new video, you can customize it at least now. Obviously, not to the extent that you can in a browser, but I do think that Affinity is pretty powerful now in terms of the color fonts once you can customize it. But yeah, obviously it doesn't do quite as much as the browser. So this is still on Supertype here. You can see some of the alternates here. I probably should have checked chat between topics. That would probably be better for the flow of things. But I appreciate you guys chatting. I appreciate you guys being here, so I didn't want to leave you hanging. This Supertype release, Ritual, right here, looks like it has a ton of alternates. I do have a full trial of this one available, so I'm gonna have to play around with this. This looks like a deep dive candidate for sure. This looks crazy. Wow. I kind of wasn't expecting it because, like I said, we have a few different grotesque, neo-grotesques coming today, but this one's definitely the most characterful out of the ones that we've got. But it also looks like it could, it might be able to perform as a workhorse. We'll have to test it out and find out. 18 styles, variable, Latin, Cyrillic, 3 different widths, the slant, 3 axes. Yeah, looks pretty cool. That is Ritual from Supertype. We're about halfway through the new releases. Keep pushing and pushing and pushing. We got to go fast. This one here, as you can see, the web page is in French. I'm going to do an auto translate on this, but this one's linked in the description. I have this one linked in the description because it's a SIL open font license typeface. It's open source. You can download this for now for free. And despite the web page and despite the organization and stuff that producing this being French, I do think that this is worth downloading for everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and translate it. This is Marelle. Marelle, this is coming from Typographies. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It translates to hopscotch, as you can see right there. And I did confirm that that's right. But so it says, hopscotch is a free cursive font for teaching writing in elementary school. I don't imagine all of this translation will be perfect, but it's got 3 different variations on here. It's got baton or cursive capital letters. it's got whatever that lineage is, and it's got the different heights of ascending and descending. So let's zoom in on this a little bit, and you can see. So there are two different capitals here, as you can see, the cursive ones, and then the what they're calling the stick ones, or at least what translates to stick, but just the typical uppercase that we would think of. It's also got two different, I'm not sure what this says lineage would be, but maybe that's what makes this look. Oh, I don't think it's supposed to be lineage. I think it's just supposed to be lines. Yeah, so the translation's not working. You can have this with or without lines. So see, it has the lines on there for like school children. That's what that is, with and without lines, which is great because you could use it for a real typeface, or you could use it for its intended purpose, which would be to teach people cursive. And then you've got this one here with the height of the ascenders. And this is what I feel like makes it look so French. Even if you didn't tell me this was coming for like a French education to teach people, teach children to write cursive, these super tall ascenders, I guess it's got pretty long descenders too, doesn't it? The super long extenders on this and the low X height just feels so French to me. Maybe someone knows why that is. Feel free to let me know. But both of them look nice. I feel like one, these are obviously they're cursive, they're script, they're going to be display typefaces. But you could definitely see the top one being for your headlines and things like that. And you could put a little bit of body copy or at least some captions and stuff in that lower, the shorter ascenders, shorter extenders version. But I think this looks really nice. Pay no attention to any of the translations. They don't seem like they're working too well. But it's a beautiful typeface, and it is it's free to download. Still open font license. Do what you want with it. Whatever that license allows you to do. But there it is right there. Download the zip. Download the PDF specimen. I already downloaded this. Already played with it a little bit. I don't imagine doing a deep dive on this one, so this will probably be all we end up showing for this one. But yeah. Let me go ahead and switch back to the original so you can see this in French. Marelle this was designed by typographies.fr. So that's linked in the description. This isn't the Foundry website though. This is just the institution's website. So you can get that for free right now. I'm going to check chat before this one. Okay, chat's good. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I lost track of the numbers. We're past halfway through these. This is Tokotype's new release. It is Sinar Grotesk. And once again, we've got a Grotesk. This time it's describing it as a blend between a neo-grotesque and early geometric grotesques. I can definitely see that. They're relaying this to like Accidents Grotesque, Bright Grotesque, Bauhaus design, stuff like that. I can see that. Like it feels like a neo-grotesque, but it also feels somewhat geometric. It's got a little bit more. It's a little bit wider. It looks a little bit wider. It doesn't have the perfect circle geometrics and stuff like that, or perfect square for like the M and the M squares and stuff like that. But it does feel a little more geometric than a typical neo-grotesque. So I will give them that. I think that's an accurate description. The other cool thing about this, 3 variable axes. You can see it right here. This is just the italic though, and you're only allowed to make the sizes. Here we go. So let's go ahead and go back, make this as big as possible. Can we zoom in on this? Kind of. Oh, can we make it full size? No. Okay, so this has weight, as you can see right there. Very nice. It's got 8 different weights on it. It's got 3 different widths. Obviously, you're getting everything in between this. 3 different widths, and then you've got the slant as well. So this one seems very much a workhorse. I don't know the glyph count on this one yet, but we can kind of scroll through this and see what they've got going on. Latin extended, Latin extended additional. Looks like it's got a lot of language support on it. You've got your wayfinding, your enclosed circles and stuff like that. Obviously not only for wayfinding, but that's typically what I think of it for. You got your arrows. Yeah, you got a few different things going on here. Sinar Grotesk from Tokotype. This is what I recognize from Instagram, these black and yellow designs. I think this looks really nice. This chart right here does a great job of showcasing all the weights, all the widths, and then the italics, or what they're calling, they're calling it italics, the italics on here. And they're just showing you a few features here with the terminals and stuff like that. It looks like a neo-grotesque, but I will give them that it also has some geometric aspects to it. Looks pretty nice. Let's go ahead and flip through the rest of these. I like this. these are the types of things that a lot of people have been doing lately. These types of specimens. We saw one like 2 seconds ago. I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was Fabric Grotesk that was kind of doing some of these VHS. You see VHS, you see cassettes, and you see film done, film like rolls done in these. But I think it's really fitting, and I think it's a good way to compare them. You know, in a similar way. So I don't hate that they are doing similar specimens there. Sinar, Grotesk. Hopefully I'm saying that kind of right. Tokotype. Looks pretty interesting. 16 styles, variable, 3 different axes. Looks nice. Next up, we have a collaborative typeface release, and I'm going to have a very specific, some very specific advice with this one. So I've got 2 different websites open right now. I'm going to go ahead and tile these for you. This new release is Ragu, and it's coming from Nova Type Foundry, as well as the FaceType Type Foundry, or the FaceType Foundry. So on the left, we have Nova Type Foundry. On the right, we have FaceType Foundry. And you can see the specimens are a little bit different between the two, the way they're doing it. Nova Type Foundry does have some similar type specimens here. They're not exactly the same, but they're using similar color palette and things like that. So it's interesting how they're choosing to promote this one on 2 different websites. If you look at the top of Nova Foundry, which is Joanna Correa's Foundry, you can see she is listed as the designer there. But Marcus Stirs, hopefully I'm saying your name right, Marcus, is the other type designer that worked on this from FaceType. And it's interesting that they are both releasing this. Here, he's got the designer, he's got himself and Joanna. On Nova Type, they've only got Joanna. Here's my advice. We're going to look at the typeface. It looks really cool. Almost looks like it's got a hint of Cooper Black. We'll look at that side by side here in a second. But Nova Type Foundry, if we go to buy on this one, and then let's go ahead and buy it on FaceType as well. You can see on the left here on Nova Type, zoom in on this, 3 choices. I call this a standard license where it's got desktop, web, and app. It's perpetual. You buy it, it lasts. I don't think you have to renew it. There's no mention of a renewal here. So I think it's perpetual. I think both of them are perpetual, but let's go ahead and pick all the settings on here so we can get through it. There are a few different things to note here. It's interesting that they're both releasing it on their own websites, and it's interesting that the licenses are completely different. If you buy it from Nova Type Foundry, you can get desktop license that's going to include the logo. It's going to include social media. It's going to include video. If you were to buy this from FaceType Foundry, you have to purchase the logo separately. You have to purchase social media separately. You have to purchase video separately. And then your price is all the way up to $2,050, whereas this one here is 137. Oh, these are euros, sorry. So Nova Type Foundry with the desktop license is 137 euros. On FaceType Foundry, it's to get everything that you would think you could get in a desktop license, you're going to be paying over 2,000 euros. Even if we weren't doing all this, so say you're like, well, I'm not going to do all that stuff. I'm just fine with the limited desktop license. Okay, it's still 228. See if I can zoom in on this a little more. Still 228 euros as opposed to 137 euros. So please, if you're going to go buy Ragu, use your financial sense, use your brain, and pick the best license for you. If that happens to be from FaceType Foundry, go for it. If it happens to be from Nova Type Foundry, which I would suggest going to Nova Type Foundry, do that. Like I said, none of this is sponsored. I have no dog in this fight. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say dog fight, but okay, let's look at the typeface though. So let's go ahead and get rid of FaceTypes since we know we're not going to buy it there. And let's pull up Cooper Black real quick, just because I did mention it and I wanted to, sometimes, you know, your gut reaction is like, oh, like it has a hint of Cooper Black to it. Let's go ahead and see if there's a good one to pull up here. I mean, we all know what Cooper Black looks like. I don't know why I'm taking so long to choose. Let's just, I don't want to curse it, or I mean, I don't want to, let's go with this one. Okay, so you can see what I mean. Let's go ahead and type something out here. It obviously is not like a Cooper Black revival or anything like that. but you do have a little bit of that vibe with those like puffy serifs. Let's get like an all caps one real quick. Man, I really thought that I had a good one before I did this. Let's just do the thank you very much so we can compare these. Thank you very much. So those puffy terminals on there, they're not as rounded. They're much more usable. They're much less characterful. There's 100 reasons why this isn't Cooper Black, but I point that out because if you wanted something that was kind of in that vein, like kind of that vibe, but much more usable, much more, much newer, I think that this could be a place to look. Or even if you wanted something to maybe pair with Cooper Black, if you were doing like a logo in Cooper Black, but then you wanted everything else to be not Cooper and, much more usable and much newer, Ragu might be a place to look. Let me see what this has. 12 styles, 6 weights plus italics. I think if we click on about, you can see all of them right here. Yeah, there's all of them. They're pretty small, but you can see them. Yeah, so that's Ragu. If you like how it looks, you know what you're getting. Go ahead and go check it out. We can at least flip through the weights real quick. It looks good at all sizes. Man, it's going to be so hard choosing what deep dives to do, what to review next week, because I could literally throw a dart at any of the typefaces that we've looked at for new releases today, and I would be absolutely happy to, let's see what the lowercase looks at like in italic. I would be absolutely pleased to do deep dives on any of these. Can we get the light? Medium italic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do deep dives on next week for sure, because there are so many good typefaces. But this was Ragu from Novatype and FaceType. We've got 3 more new releases, then we're going to get into some deep dives. These are going to be some short deep dives, but they're still worth looking at. I promise they're still worth looking at. This one here, 100% is going to be a deep dive next week. I've already talked to Stormtype Foundry. I've already got review licenses for this one. This is Baskerville Sans. As the name suggests, this is a Sans counterpart to Baskerville. And the reason this is significant is because Stormtype Foundry is arguably, the best type designers of Baskerville since John Baskerville. Like Baskerville Original, Baskerville Neo, and now Baskerville Sans. This is just one to really, really pay attention to, especially if you're a fan of Baskerville. Everybody knows Baskerville. Everybody loves Baskerville. It's been a staple for hundreds of years now, and there's good reason. So some of these are taking a second to load. Go ahead and scroll back up here. But you can see some of the influence of Baskerville, especially in the italics with those Ks. Like, look at that K there. Let's just make this really big. Look at that K. Wow. What do you normally get out of these? Yeah, the F. Yep, below the baseline. Yeah, I'm really excited to deep dive into this one next week. I already have the review license for this one. This has everything that you would expect it to have. Small caps, old style figures, discretionary ligatures, stylistic sets. Let's go back one right here, because did I see? Okay. Ooh, look at that T. I think we've even got some swashes in here. Look at the T up there. Is that the default italic T? I don't think it is. No, look, it's right there. So there's an optical size axis on this. There's obviously the width axis on this. This is the variable font built with variable in mind, as was Baskerville Neo. So Stormtype Foundry is famous for Baskerville Original. It's arguably the best Baskerville in terms of like being accurate to the original. Baskerville Neo was the 21st century version of that, expanded and updated and evolved for what Baskerville would be like today. But look at that. You've got lining numbers, the columns. Man, this is going to be so much fun to nerd out over next week. Okay, we got to move on. But yeah, Baskerville Sans, the newest addition to that Baskerville Type Foundry that Stormtype Foundry is producing. You can see the language support. This is going to be a good one. Look at those ink traps in there. Okay, we got to move on. We got to move on. We got to move on. But this was Baskerville Sands from Supertype Foundry. Expect a deep dive on this one next week. We're going to go the complete opposite direction as I get a drink of water for this next one. This is Chop from Supertype. And as I said, we're going in the complete opposite direction. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on this. I don't have a lot to talk about with this one, or even a lot to like showcase. The description on this one is chaotic, unpolished energy. That is the designer's description, and I 100% agree with that. Chaotic, unpolished energy. I love this. Look at the ligatures there. This one has 546 glyphs. This is a display type, obviously, but there is some real effort put into this. You can see the different, basically every one of these characters has like an alternate. You can see the ligatures are on there. This just looks so much fun. Obviously this is incredibly case specific in terms of like when you would ever use this. It's a single weight, just medium. You're getting the size that you're looking at right now, but 546 glyphs on it. Look at the language support. Look at the ligatures. Look at the brute force glyph count here. This is a really, really fun font, and it does say, where's it at right here? Somewhere it says, Chop isn't designed for clarity or versatility, but for mood, attitude, and impact. Best use sparingly. I love that that Jürgen here, I hope I'm saying that right, Jürgen Huber is the designer of this from Supertype. I love that he's pointing that out and just being like, hey, this is best used sparingly. Don't overuse this. But man, this is going to be so much fun when people start putting this in projects. And there are so many things you could do with an expressive typeface like this, because it really does give you when it is this chaotic, as he says, it opens the door for even more chaos and even more effects and things like that. It's like I said, it's a complete opposite of something like Baskerville. Obviously, this is a workhorse. You can use this over and over and over. Chop, the complete opposite. Chaotic, unpolished energy. I love this one. Supertypes, new release. That's Chop. One more. Once again, we're going to swing back in the complete opposite direction. This one is from Gruppo Due. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. I did look it up. If you've ever seen their website, every time I see this, I remember this rock. And apparently they remembered me too, because there must be cookies on here that showed my little drawing that I did on here. How do we get back out of this? Okay, just hit escape. Yeah, I always remember this Foundry because they've got the little rock there. I think that this right here is super clever. The thing that loads up right when you first get on here, because this is a hyper legible typeface. It was originally designed for some exhibition, 2026 exhibition called Circulating Copies. I don't know what that is, but I do like this typeface. This is another SIL open font license. You can download this for free right now and do everything that the SIL OFL allows you to do. Just coming in two styles. So it's going to have this weight right here plus the slanted. So you can see both styles on this one right here. Here's Looking at You. The Looking is the slanted version. This is a hyper legible typeface. I don't have a glyph count on this, but I should have downloaded this. I mean, I did download it, but I should have thrown it into What Can My Font Do so I could get a glyph count for you real quick. But it looks like it's pretty well built out. Yeah, I'm not seeing a glyph count on here, but it's got, it builds on the Braille Institute's recommendations for legibility. So I'll show you some of those letters right now, where you'd want to be able to differentiate the capital O from the 0 from the Q. Very nice. Very easy to differentiate those. You want to be able to differentiate the P and the Q so that if they get flipped, so that, like, I'm not sure what it would be. I don't know if it's dyslexia or not, but like, so that if these two somehow were flipped in someone's mind, or in real life, I guess, if you're seeing it in a mirror, you would know the difference between the two. And lastly, we've got the 1, the L, the lowercase l, and the capital I. Great differentiation between all three of these. That is visible right there, and this is visible slanted. So just two styles on this one, but it's free. You can download. There's a big download for free button right up here. No need to get the trial. This has a SIL open font license. And I think that this is a great option for, one, anybody that needs hyper legibility, but two, anyone that's going to do like a minimalist brand, where you're basically going to be creating hierarchy through size. If you're going to be creating hierarchy through different scales, You know, maybe like a multiple where you would be doing like 12 point, 24 point, 36 point, and you wouldn't be using bold or bold, extra bold. You wouldn't be using weights or anything like that. I think this could be a really good typeface for that. And they're saying that they're following the Braille Institute guidelines and stuff, so it could be great for accessibility. I mean, that's what it's built for. G2 Hyper. That's from Gruppo Due. Gruppo Due. Okay. Let's get into some deep dives. We got about 15 minutes. These will look familiar because I did look at these last week. Let me look at my outline here. Let's start with the website. I'm gonna get a drink of water. We're gonna get into this, and I did learn how to say this Foundry's typeface or Foundry's name. So this typeface is Tuig, and it's from Marmite Defontes. Last week I said Marmite Defontes. And Guillaume, the designer of this, I talked to him on Instagram. He said that he enjoyed my pronunciation of Marmite Defontes, but I did say it incorrectly. So I'm going to try my best to say it correctly this time around. I'm going to sit on this page for just a second while I give you some thoughts, because I do think these specimens look very nice, and I'm just going to show you more technical stuff inside of Affinity today. So the things I love about this, it's a super friendly typeface that's breaking a lot of the rules. I'll get into them when we get into Affinity, but it's got an extremely high X height. Let's see if we can see that. We got a lot of caps here. It's got an extremely high X height, as you can see right here. I will showcase this in even more detail. It's got intentional boning on the letters. So by boning, I mean this. See how that M kind of bows inside? Typically something you would avoid. A lot of people would avoid with optical letters. They're going straight for it, intentionally pushing it further. Love that. And then the last thing is they've got some ink gain on some of these. So rather than doing ink traps, they appear like ink traps, but they're actually ink gain. So let's hop into Affinity. This is Marmite Defontes Tuig, and let me give you some details on this one. This is the trial license. I said last week that I had a full trial license on this. I really wish I would have asked for it. Gonna have to go back to the website here in a second to show you some of the alternates, because I just have the limited version and I didn't realize it. So you're gonna see 508 glyphs right here. I'm missing all of the alternates. So I'm missing the OpenType features. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to show them to you here, but Guillaume Barry, Guillaume, hopefully I'm saying your name right. 6 styles on this one. Those are gonna be 6 different weights going from thin up to extra bold. It is variable, so I'm going to show you that very smooth interpolation. 508 glyphs if you were to purchase this one, and you're going to get some alternates with that. I have the question mark on the OpenType there because when I dropped it into Welcome My Fondue, to my horror, I saw that it only had one OpenType feature, which is not the case, and that's just because I do have a limited trial. 383 languages. You can purchase this from the Foundry. 230 euros for the family. And that might seem high for a display typeface like this at first glance, but the super simple license, we're going to get that at the very end. I'll go ahead and spoil it right now. It's an all-inclusive license. So you really do have to consider this in terms of like being able to use it for everything. Typically you're buying a web and desktop separate, you know, as we saw a couple seconds ago. Sometimes you're even buying, you know, the logo and being able to use it on YouTube and merchandise. You have to pay for all those separate. So first thing here, you're going to note, look at how tall that X height is. So we'll look at the X height first. I put these in a different order. Typically I do all capitals on top and then all lowercase below that, like an A to Z. I had to set these next to each other just so that you could really see how tall this X height is. And if I delete this, you can see the ascender height is significantly higher than the cap height as well. This is a typeface that is breaking all the rules and somehow still managing to be like just so much fun and really quite legible when we get to the body copy. I'll show you here in a second. But look how high this crossbar is on the lowercase f. No one would ever advise doing that, and it's crazy, especially when you see it next to the large F. I don't think you're ever going to see like capital F next to a lowercase f. Someone correct me, but it just looks so crazy setting those two next to each other. I had so much fun looking into this. The lowercase k, obviously, that's the first thing that stands out when you see the specimens. Like that lowercase k is so unique. There is an alternate for that, but even this uppercase k, I don't think I've ever seen a leg like take a right turn into the arm like this, you see the leg connect to the arm rather than connecting like at the joint with the stem. But this like, you can see this turn, right? You can see how it's like the stroke feeds right into the arm. I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm not stating it's the first time it's ever happened, but you can see a little bit of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the ink gain right there, but it's even more evident when we get down to the X and the Y. So let's go ahead and look at these Ys right here. These look like ink traps, right? And maybe Guillaume will even call these ink traps. I'm going to push back. I'm going to say this is ink gain, because with an ink trap, you're trying to prevent ink gain. You're trying to open this up so that that space gets filled in by ink and then it looks normal. This one here, you've got quite a heavy space right here in the bottom of this Y, right? Let me see if I can get like a circle on this just real fast. You've got quite a bit of a dark spot in there, right? Okay, we got to get rid of these. Another just rule that's being broken here. You can see it again on the X here. The X here, I could almost treat that as like a crossbar, but it really does fill it in. This one here, again, I'm not sure if that would be an ink trap or not, but you can see what they're doing. It matches the V, it matches the top of the A, so it feels cohesive somehow. But man, this is a really, really fun one. Okay, my favorite number on, oops, got to get my favorite number on here is the 2 for sure. Hopefully my voice didn't just cut out right there. There was a loud motorcycle driving by. I don't think I've ever seen an @ symbol like this either, where it comes out of that bowl. Maybe I have, but maybe it wrapped all the way around. It at least had some portion of the lowercase, or the lower bowl on there. That's pretty fun as well. And then it does include some icons. The icons don't hold the same weight, which I found interesting. So let me go ahead and show you the weights on this. Let's just select Twig up there as well so we can get it all at once. I don't have the variable version because, as I found out, this is a limited trial, but the full version would have a variable that would interpolate very nicely between these. Seemingly, they look pretty smooth, even just doing step by step like this. But if we do the weights, you can see the icons don't perfectly match that weight. I think that's mostly due to necessity, because like you can see at the thin weight right here, they appear to be the same. But as you get heavier, I think they would just fill in way too much when you get to the extra bold to actually match. Not a deal breaker, but just something to note. They don't perfectly match. Let me go ahead and show you the body copy real quick since we're here, and then I will go to the website and show you some of the alternates, because that's something I would love to show you, but I didn't realize. We've got a couple more icons here. We've got a cat and a little bowl of food. I thought that was cute. Nice little Easter egg. But you can see that K right there in Wikipedia. This is just the article from Wikipedia for typography. I used this to set up some body copy. The X height, the incredibly tall X height on here, is somewhat preventative from using this for body copy. I've got this set at the default leading of 54. I'm actually got this on baseline, so really it's set at 60 right now. I think you'd really have to increase this, not that much. Let me take this off the baseline real quick. I think you would have to, let me go ahead and set this to default so you can see what the default is. And you can see this is really a display typeface, because you would never set your body copy this tight, especially with that high of an X height. The X height really does determine how much line spacing you need, how much leading you need. So let's take this up to like a 90, maybe like a 75. Yeah, 75 feels right for this X height. And you could get away with this. I think that this would be fine. The X height is too tall to use this in body copy, but you could get away with a little bit. You could get away with some captions. You could get away with a single paragraph. Let's look at some of these alternates that they have on here. Access all alternates. So here they are right here. It's not as clean as me being able to show this in Affinity, so I apologize for that. But you can see the big letter over there on the right. If we get down to the alternates, you get a much more open C right here. So the default C, if we pull it back up right here, the default C is very, very closed. and there's the alternate C right there. The default I has the serifs on it, the top and bottom bar. You've got that there. You got an alternate G, an alternate Q, an alternate R that matches that lowercase k, which is pretty fun. You do have the alternate uppercase K, which gives you before. Remember, I said that it kind of the stroke turns right into that the arm. This one here, completely different, very nice. And then you've got the 2-story A. So just to see what the default A looks like right there, you could go to the 2-story. So there are some alternates in here. There's some alternate numbers as well. There's all kinds of alternates and case sensitive forms and things that I just, I looked at the glyph count and I thought, okay, 429 glyphs. This feels like that's probably the right number of glyphs. But nope, it had way more. And I apologize that I didn't get to show you that, but I think you get a gut vibe check on what this typeface is. Very, very nice. This is Tuig from Marmite Defont. And like I said, super, super simple license on this one. I can even pull it up for you real quick. I'm going to go a little bit over time, but you can see they're doing the license based on organization size. You can use it for all this stuff right here. You can use it. Future updates are included. It's perpetual license. You can use it for print, logo, so you can use one brand per license. That makes sense. Logo, web, app, video games, ebook, social media, broadcast up to 10 million viewers. I think that's more than most of us, unless you're Mr. Beast or, Netflix, you'll be fine with that. There's no traffic or domain limits. There's no, all this stuff just works. It works as you would expect it to. And it's based on organization size. So I really like a simple license, and that makes this 230 euros for a display typeface make much more sense to me. Let's move on. We got to go fast, but we've been going fast the whole time. Not even going to pull up the website on this one because I want to dive right into it. This is JT Comet from JulyType. Before I hop into this, Jim Girth, welcome back, says congrats on the anniversary. I appreciate it. 50 episodes, pretty fun, pretty cool. This is JT Comet from JulyType, and we've got 3 different designers here whose names I'm not going to butcher, but there you go. 2 styles on this one, so we're going to be pretty quick to get through this one. 2 styles are just going to be JT Comet and JT Comet Italic. Static typeface, 1,273 glyphs, 28 OpenType features. This is a deep font. Despite there only being 2 styles, this has a ton of glyphs and some really nice features. You can purchase it from the Foundry. It does have a full trial. That's what I'm using here. Didn't make the mistake. 162 euros for the Duo on desktop. And I've got a little asterisk there, and I say okay-ish license because they do break out. A few things. Let me click my Obsidian over here and I can tell you they break out logo and they break out video and social media after 3 employees. So if you're under 3 employees, you're going to be set. You don't worry about paying for an extra license for video and social media, but no one gets video included in the desktop license. So always go read the fine print. Always go check out the license yourself. This is JT Comet. Last time, we talked about this typeface right here that I'm not going to be able to pronounce, but I'll go ahead and say Herald. It is a German typeface. I'm going to show you this in a couple of examples of this in Affinity. So I'm not going to worry too much about this, but I do want to show you that this is where the inspiration is coming from. It is not a revival though. It's specifically inspiration, and I'm going to show you this compared to a true revival, and so you can see the difference between them. Let's go ahead, zoom in on this. We're going to move fast, but you've probably seen typefaces similar to this before. I'm not sure if this would be considered Art Nouveau. I do feel like the original was pretty Art Nouveau-ish, but someone can correct me. Obviously, it's a heavyweight. You're not going to get beyond that. I would love to see this expanded into other weights. I think that would be really cool to see how they would handle that. But, more weights, more work. I'm sure they're going to wait to see. I apologize. There's another loud motorcycle. I'm sure they're going to wait to see how this typeface does before expansions are looked at. But you can see right off the bat, there are some symbols included. We got a few different smileys, a few different manicules, right? And then I've got some green glyphs here highlighted to show you some alternates. So we've got the Q here first off. Let me see. Capital Q, So you could do a much more simple version of it if you wanted. I like both. I like this one here a lot. Obviously, that's much more display-ish. We've got the A and the G here. Alternate A goes to a single story A from the double story. Alternate G takes it to a 2-story. Oh, that's kind of an interesting one, though. Look at the ear right in the middle. Is it even an ear if it's in the middle? Maybe this could be like the profile and the ear is on top, laying on their side or something. That's pretty interesting. That's fun. I like that. We'll go ahead and leave that one on. And then we've got the T, which simplifies this T just a little bit. Got the cross T rather than the one with the tail. I really like the alternates on this. I feel like this is a very well-designed typeface in general. It definitely has a very specific vibe. Despite being designed in the early 1900s, I feel like this... I'm sitting on this because I'm trying to find my case sensitive right there. There it is. I feel like this fits into that Art Nouveau, which also almost pushes it into like the 60s. You could play around with the color and stuff like that. But this is a case sensitive @ symbol. And it doesn't just bump up to like the next line. Typically case sensitive characters, glyphs will just shift it upwards. This one is actually 2 different glyphs. As you can see, the whole thing changes shape, which I found really interesting because I don't think that I've seen that in the last, year plus of looking at typography new releases. Got the slash there in the numbers, and if you're regular around here, you know that means fractions are gonna work. Look at that. Display typeface, but the fractions work beautifully. Love that. I don't think this has old style numbers on it, no. But it's really, really nice. Let's look at the italics. You do get some true italics in here. It's not just a slanted version of it. As you can see, that brush stroke on the I there, as opposed to the I up here. So typically that's where I start looking. I'll look at the E, I'll look at the I to see if we're getting those different brush strokes. So let's go ahead and go through this real quick. You can see there are some extra little different terminals where you can see that they're finishing separately, and you're getting a little bit of not necessarily a swash, but kind of like a little baby swash on the top of some of these capitals. Jim Girth says alien G with an antenna. Yeah, we'll go with that. Lowercase alternate is an alien G with an antenna. Rather than an ear, it's got the antenna. Yeah, but look at this. True italics on this. I'm sure they could have easily just done a slanted version of this or an oblique version of this, but we've got true italics on Comet from July type. Oh, that K is interesting. They just kind of dotted that K there. How'd they do it up here? Okay. Huh. That's really interesting. Huh. I don't know how I feel about it. I kind of like it. I think it matches the vibe of the typeface. If this is any other typeface, I'd be like, what's going on here? It looks like the ink like ran together, but I think it looks really nice there. Then we got the same alternates here, so I'm not going to go through those again. I do have to go fast. It has full Cyrillic, so I went ahead and did my best Russian impression of JT Comet there. JT Cometa. Okay, it's got a lot of ligatures. Look at all these ligatures. I'm already 2 minutes over time, so I apologize. This isn't going to get the love it deserves. Gonna have to just show you this page right here. Uppercase ligatures, lowercase ligatures. Obviously, many of these are discretionary. Very few of those are standard ones, but you also have them for the italics. I did copied and pasted this. I did not check to see if there are different different ligatures for the lower or for the italic. There very well could be because they are true italics. So I apologize, July type, if there are even more of those. Let me show you how this. Don't worry about the body copy. Doesn't look great. You could pull it off for the back of a movie or something like that, like on a VHS or something, but you're not doing much more than that. It does have some symbols. You can see the Comet symbol there. Pretty cool. But let me compare this to Herald from Paratype. So this is why I say this one looks even more Art Nouveau. Like they feel the same until you actually look at them close up and you're like, oh yeah, those aren't the same at all. Herald from Paratype is a much more accurate revival. And that's because it is a revival. They've got Herald and they've got Herald Condensed from Paratype. As you can see, this is a trial that I got from FontSpring, so it doesn't have all the characters, but we can get a vibe check on it. I think this gives us plenty. And this just goes to show you that despite being inspired by Herald, it's really, really doing its own thing, and it's bringing it into the 21st century. I've got two different examples that I'm going to show you here. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this nice and big. This is the original. This one's coming from Alt Papier Samler's Flickr. I'm not sure. It was linked on Fonts in Use. This is the specimen from the original Foundry H. Berthold. And you can see it right there. And you can see it right here. I was going to change colors on these, pull them over so you could see it, but let's just look at the bottom here where it says Weihnachten. And you can see, if we look over at paratypes, this looks nearly identical, right? Like there's probably some adjustments, some fine tuning there, but those look like the same font. That looks like Herald, and it looks like Herald. Whereas if you look at this side by side with Comet, immediately you're like, oh yeah, this is not doing the same thing at all. Obviously, this is probably more of the condensed version, the narrow version on the right there. But even if this was spread out, there are so many things different on this that you can see the inspiration, but it's in no way a revival. Lastly, we'll look at this King Kong poster right here. This was from Fonts in Use once again. This is H. Berthold's version in the middle, the original. If we look at the right here, we've got Paratype's Herald. And again, they look identical. If you wanted Berthold, Paratype's really the only place to get it. This one's designed in 1993. I don't think that it's going to be the best font to use, but I haven't used it outside of this trial, so I can't give you a for sure on that one. But just any font that was designed, 33 years ago, I don't imagine is still going to be, it's not going to have all the features and stuff. So if you wanted to bring King Kong into 2026, then you're looking at JT Comet from July Type. And it doesn't have that same voice. It doesn't have the same vibe, obviously, but I do think that it has a 2026, familiarity to it. It feels like Herald, but just a little bit more sober, a little bit more usable. It only has the two styles, but yeah, I think that at first glance you do imagine that it works, that it is just like a Herald revival, but you immediately see this time. They pointed out that I was going to play around with this a little bit and do some fun stuff, but we're so much out of time that I can't. They did say that this would work great for branding, and I do agree. I think even just this dumb little ice cream right here, this, you could imagine this being branding. It would work great. Obviously, you're going to pair it with something a little more sober, pair it with one of those neo-grotesque we looked at earlier today. But just in general, there's no tracking. There's no kerning done on this. This is straight out of the box. This is how well the typeface is designed. Great, great spacing on it. It looks very nice, very neat. Throw the registered logo, registered mark on there, obviously once you're actually registered, and you're all set. This was JT Comet from July Type. Let me switch to the face cam as I get a drink of water, because we have to get out of here. This really, really felt like an old school episode going like we used to do on Sundays when I ran out of time and tried to cram in a ton of typefaces. But I'm really excited that we hit 50 episodes. I didn't really mention it, but you guys did, and I appreciate it. I see your comments, Jim Girth. I apologize I didn't get to them when we were in the typeface. I'm going to be back next Tuesday with Typography News. We're going to do some deep dives. The reason this episode was so crammed full was because I did do that Affinity video on Monday for, looking at the color fonts and stuff like that. So everything I talked about today was linked in the description. Nothing is sponsored. I really appreciate you guys being here. I really appreciate getting me through 50 episodes of Typography News and everything else that I've done on the channel. So it's been really fun, and I'll see you guys at 100. I'll see you guys at 500. I'm not stopping. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. I was Curtis Simpson. This was Typography News number 50. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Bye.